Alright, let's have a look here. Okay. Looks like we got ourselves an old-fashioned crystal rush. I think that's a sensible way to play it out. Basically, he's got his units in a strong position up front, and he's going to try and leverage that position to cripple my crystals and use his remaining consumables to do me in. Now, this is all about momentum from here on out. I have to blunt his momentum long enough to establish a strong position on the board and either just kill a ton of units or preferably kill his crystals in retaliation once I've secured a board position that's too strong to attack into. Now, I mentioned last turn that my spy being here is going to be a huge advantage in dealing with this crystal rush. And boy, is that true, because all I have to do is get this spy on this crystal tile, and it's going to be a world of hurt. He has to spend 3 AP in the best case to remove this spy from the gem tile, and 4 AP if he wants to stomp, which is basically his entire turn. So he's going to have to spend his entire next turn dealing with this stupid spy that has just taken this gem tile. And if he's spending his time killing my units and not my crystals, then in a crystal rush, I'm going to win. So this is the obvious play here. You'll notice that I upgraded the spy so that he takes care of the warrior in 1 hit instead of 2. Notice that the warrior has 20% physical resist. So it takes 2 shots unless I upgrade him, in which case it takes 1. So I basically can just upgrade the spy for free, and it's just a no-brainer. Now the real tricky part comes when I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this last AP. First 4 AP were obvious. Take the gem tile. Having spies on the gem tile is totally obnoxious. One thing he could choose to do, actually, other than remove the spy, is to try and tidal wave it back. But he's only got so many tidal waves, and if he tidal waves it back, I'm just going to use it next turn to keep taking it and keep killing units. And he will run it eventually, and he needs those tidal waves because he's got to figure out some way to finish off this top crystal later on. And if I'm able to totally surround it with my units, and he doesn't have any tidal left, well, he's not going to have any way to break through. So keep in mind that Tribe are actually really good at crystal rushes because the warriors, one of which I just slayed, if I bring him back to life, you can see that he can instantly KO any wounded crystal below 25% life. So he only has to get this crystal down to 25% health, and then 1 attack from the warrior, whether or not he has the gem tile, will just instantly kill it. So let's go back and bring our spy into position here. Now, looking at this health, it's at 1275 out of 4500. And if I type into my handy dandy Google, figure out what 25% of 4500 is, it is 1125. So he still needs to do another 25 or 150 damage to this top crystal in order to bring it in range of where a warrior can instantly KO it. So he really needs to do another hit to this crystal at some point in order to bring it into a position where he can think about killing it off. So with that in mind, I have 2 choices here. What I really want to do is I want to block this square right here. I want to force him to have to deal with a unit there or move around a unit there, which is going to waste an AP. And I have 2 units that I can move there. I've got my Demo Man, and I've got my Scout. Now, which one would I like to move? If I move the Demo Man up here, then if he wants to clear the spy, he will not be able to damage my crystals this turn. He will have to choose between KOing the spy and stomping it, or damaging my crystals. Because this Demo Man he'll have to spend 4 AP stomping the spy, and then he'll have to like move his axe thrower down or something. So that's one option. The other option is to actually move this scout up. And I actually prefer this option slightly. And the reason is I want to free up my attack tile here. This tile is my key to Crystal Rush defense because a range 3 unit on this attack tile can hit the gem tile. And that's going to make it very hard for him to hold that tile, which he desperately needs to do damage against my crystals. So if this scout is on my attack tile, then that attack tile is useless for me. So I move the scout off, then next turn I can move this soldier on, for example, and that soldier will have 400 damage, and it will be able to two-shot most units that end up on that attack tile. And that's a very good thing for me, because that will allow me to deal with his units very quickly and maintain the tempo I need to stall out his Crystal Rush and force him to the point where he has to start playing more units on the board. You can see he's got both of his deploy tiles blocked. So really, if I can quickly deal with all of these units on the board, or at least the ones, really these 3 are the keys. If I can take these guys out, then he's going to have to spend a lot of time moving units up and putting more units on the board and putting upgrades on them potentially, and that's going to give me enough time to put units in front of the crystals or get the rest of my units on the board or move forward, whatever I need to do. I kind of have a lot of units that are low right now and I'd like to heal up. One final thing about this turn. I've kind of assumed that he's going to deal with my spy here because he can two-shot it with the axe thrower, with the rage. The first shot will do 500, and the second shot will do 200, which is 700, which is enough to bring it down to the 700 HP spy. But he could actually choose not to deal with it, in which case, especially if he tries to finish off this top crystal with his axe thrower, then my spy can actually threaten to go behind here, one-shot the witch, stomp, one-shot the axe thrower, stomp it, and then move right back to the gem tile in the first place. So that is a possibility that forces his hand somewhat, and it'll be interesting to see how he responds to that threat there. I'm pretty sure he has to deal with it straight up, but time will tell. But I'm hoping that what will happen is he will leave a unit here and also leave this unit here. Like if he brings the shaman up, or I'm not sure exactly, but I'd love to be able to bring the soldier up here and KO this axe thrower and then knock this unit back and heal up my soldier or something like that. But for the rest of this game, I always want to have a unit on this gem tile here at the end of a turn. I've got a bunch of units that can get there. I've got the scout that can get there. I've got this pyro that can get there with the sandwich in one turn. Obviously, I've got the engineer and the other sandwiched soldier that can get there in 2 AP. But as long as I'm occupying that gem tile at the end of every turn for the next 2 or 3 turns, I think I'm going to be in really good shape to pull this off. And with that, I think I've said everything I can. Let's go ahead and submit this turn. Alright, no cards in turn. Let's see what he does next.